I've sat and watched film with some of these guys, and they all say the same thing. Like, if I had those guys, if I had just, I would be a much better coach, and the ball goes to the basket more, um, and and look, this is the exact conversation that people had about Alabama football before they hired Nick Saban, right? Like, Alabama, they're back in the 60s and 70s. Like, the right dude gets it going. And I know that kids don't know how big the Indiana thing can be. I understand, because it hasn't really been in most of their lifetime, but the parents do, and you coaches do, and then just the proximity to players. And look, it's a really interesting one. And these are all good decisions for Porter Moser, because regardless, he's going to make more money next year. I just had this conversation, like, with all my friends, like, what would you do? And everybody kind of has. Rob says Loyola, Jeff says Marquette, and I think you do Indiana. Just think.
Well, I don't know if Indiana even wants him yet. That's the other part. Like, Indiana.
What are they waiting for?
They're poking around other people right now. They are poking around other people.
Mike
and
Woodson?
Mike Woodson, I think, is a backup. And I think a lot of that is probably to placate the old guard, right? The Quinn Buckners and whatnot of making sure, okay, we'll interview Mike Woodson and Keith Smart and some of these guys. But ultimately, I think Scott Dolson is smart enough to know that those guys aren't Juwan Howard. Like, Juwan Howard is the outlier here, not the norm. So don't think you're going to get, like, when you hire Mike Woodson, who's 62, and nobody knows who he is outside of Bloomington, that you're getting Juwan Howard, who played with LeBron James, played for the Fab Five, has a national profile. It's different. And he hired a great staff.
Yeah, I'm bummed that Fife's not going to get it. Doesn't feel like Fife's going to get a shot.
Fife should try to go as the coach in waiting. If he's smart, if they ever hire a Woodson or Keith Smart, Fife should go.
I'm sure that's whoever it is plan, right? Is I'm going to bring back and
Mike Lewis or Fife.
I don't know if people understand what a benefit it is if you have a coach like Dane who's been in the league for as long as he's been in the league.
Yep.
Right. You have to have guys that understand the league, which you're playing against, who you're recruiting against, all the different little things. He's been a head coach. I don't know. It's like we're searching around for all these other guys, and he and Mike Lewis. I put them. I say, hey, you guys, Fife, you be the head coach. Lewis, you be the associate head coach, and like, let's go. I would be down for that. It's interesting. Like, do you think? What about Muss? I mean, he's been unbelievable. Or Nate Oats.
Yeah.
Midwestern ties.
Yeah. You just wonder how much. I feel like Muss is either you love him or you hate him, right? Either you want him or you.
But when they've been at their best, when they were at their best, that's what their head coach was like. Now, we do have a different view of Coach Knight now than 25 years ago. 25 years ago, 30 years ago, he was the biggest personality in the sport. And he had a fiery temper, okay? And he could treat people poorly, but he was also could be charming and engaging.
Really? When?
Before you started covering it. No, I'm serious, dude.
Really?
Yes. If you've ever, at the end, if you caught him on a good day, he was amazing. And then there were just a lot more good days back then. Goody, I'm telling you, dude, like, he was a really engaging, funny guy.
So who would you compare him to? Like, who was he like in those days?
I mean, Cal and those guys.
Really?
He wasn't as good a dude as Self.
Yeah.
But he was like a Cal where, he'd all of a sudden you become an enemy for no reason. But he was a super charming, engaging dude. My dad actually was like a JV player in college when he was in college at Ohio State. So for example, he'd be out here recruiting, and my dad had gone to his clinics and known him forever, known him since college, whatever. And there would be times in which he'd walk right by and wouldn't say a word. And then there were a couple of times in which he called, Bobby, come over here, and he'd sit here and they'd talk for hours, and they're sitting there laughing. I mean, was a really charming dude.
All right, so
All those guys had to be.
Let's steer it back. Let's steer it back to you.
Okay.
And who you would hire. If you're Indiana right now, what would you do if you're Scott Dolson?
Ooh, that's a great question. Well, I told you I would have called, me personally, I would have called Dane in, said, show me your plan. Show me your plan. Because I would have, like, you spend $10 million, save some money. Like, what's the difference? You got a guy who knows and loves the university. I think we do this thing. We have to go and get some big name to, like, why? You got Crean. That didn't work.
Well, do you want Porter Moser? Would you take Porter Moser over Dane? Would you take Porter Moser?
Here's actually what I enjoy about Porter is he has been fired. Okay, he's been to the other side, So you guys have both asked him. He knows like the pitfalls of it. I don't know if he knows the pitfalls of it at Indiana, but he's also been with Rick. So and he knows how Rick didn't treat people the right way, and he does the opposite of that. So I actually like the failure in Porter's career, because the guys that just succeed everywhere, they all of a sudden they start quoting themselves and they become these caricatures. I think Nate would be awesome there. Awesome. And he's a Midwestern dude.
Yeah.
And think about the style he plays too, Jeff. What do they have in Indiana? They have shooters. What does Nate Oats want to do?
Just not at the University of Indiana. They have shooters everywhere.
Everywhere else.
None of them wear Hoosier jerseys.
Yeah, Nate would be great. I don't know what his buyout is. My guess is Greg Byrne was smart enough to have a pretty hefty buyout. But
he's just signed an extension, didn't he? In like February?
Yeah.
I'm sure.
So Indiana can pay the buyout. If they had somebody write a check for $10 million, they'll have somebody that will say, you know what, if you can get Nate Oats, we'll write a check for the buyout.
Yeah, I would say those are a couple. I would like Muss for it. I think Muss it's really amazing though how you go back to before the Nevada thing and how he struggled to get a job, and even early at Nevada when he struggled to find a staff that kind of worked. I think bringing in David Patrick was brilliant.
Huge.
Brilliant.
Me too.
I would, if I hired Muss, I'd say, okay, you can only come, bring DP, pay him whatever, because it's just a good balancing there.
What about Beard, Scott Drew? What about Beard or Scott Drew?
Oh, wait, I forgot. I'm sorry. Wait, forget all that. Hire Chris Beard yesterday.
That's what I've said.
What's their deal? So this is the best thing, Rob, as you know about Jeff, is that he knows the answer, and sometimes he says it, whereas everybody else kind of tiptoes around things. Like, what is it? Is it because he likes to have beer?
I'll say it. I mean, I don't know the actual specifics to it, but I know when I asked that question to as high up a person as you can ask it to at UCLA, why UCLA wouldn't go after Chris Beard.
Yeah.
They talked about the skeletons in his closet. And that's the only.
What skeletons?
I don't know the specifics on that.
He got divorced. He's getting remarried. Like,
yeah, that's not it. I mean, that's stupid. Like that.
He likes to drink beer. He has no DUIs.
No. And he's mellowed on, and he was never Billy Gillespie. He was never Billy Clyde. Like, and Beard, everybody likes Beard. Like, everybody likes Beard, and he's
amazing.
He's an amazing coach.
His practices, I told him this, his first year at Tech, I did a Cancun tournament, and it was at that Hard Rock Cafe, Hard Rock Hotel, whatever. But what was cool about it was, like, it wasn't one of these you had to get on a bus and go to it. It was literally right there. So I watched. They had like the varsity. They also had like a JV tournament, right, with the guarantee game teams, and they played. So I got to watch all these practices one day because I was solo, and I'd never seen his practice before the year before when they were at Little Rock, and it was so good, and his way of communicating was incredible, and that he has these like eyes on me, and he has like 7 or 8 trigger words that he says, and it was a coaching clinic. I was like, wow, this guy's unbelievable. He'll be so good. And we kind of spawned a friendship, and like his attention to detail, dude, the text I got, he's like, how many times do you see Utah State this year? I was like, 5 in person, and I've watched, I think, 7 or 8 on tape. And he's like, okay, send me everything you know. I was like, bro, I'm not on salary for you. So, but the text messages and the questions about their guys at like 3 a.m. here, you know, just like that guy wants to win basketball games, and
Yep.
he's a much
right.
He's a much easier to take version of Coach. I don't think he's what Coach Knight would be, but I don't know if you guys know this. When they go on the road, he always just gets one big room, right? And they tape off a thing, but then they just all hang out and watch ball and share ideas. He's brilliant. He's great. I have no negatives at all for Chris. Like, I didn't think their team was that good this year, and he's super pissed because he thinks they could have won the whole thing. They're just 1 or 2 possessions away. So yeah, if I could hire Chris Beard, but I don't understand why they haven't. I don't know what's holding them back.
No idea, Doug. I mean, no idea what it is specifically, but I would reiterate.
They're not cheating. They're not, and to people go like, well, they must be cheating. Like, well, they're not.
Right.
You know,
like I mean, they did
like Namari Burnett. They got, but he left. Like, if they were doing something illicit, you would have found out about it.
Right.
No, not cheating.